Hey, this is Scott of Cosplay Bonsai. I'm here today to do another little dog coat. I did one in the past. I'll link that video, and I still have the pattern for it. But this time I'm going to try to make kind of a costume slash coat thing for Gracie. See how it turns out. She is getting bigger too, so I need to make this pattern larger. I'm going to add some paper here to these two, as well as the back, and then I'm going to change this so it's more of a cape type thing, and that's probably about it for that, and see how it turns out. So I'm going to trace around this on another piece of paper just to lengthen it a little bit, and I can cut that out like I said and just make it longer. And I'll also do it with this one. Probably I'll just cut those out, and then I'll probably lengthen this a bit, because that's the back end. She's gotten quite a bit bigger. So I cut these out and I just temporarily taped them on there. I decided I'm going to try to add a little bit more here instead of making these super long, and then maybe some in the back too. See how that works out. I have to, if I change this, I'll have to make this longer, I assume, and then of course this as well to make a cape type thing. So I drew out a line here and I cut that out and then tape it to the main form. It's just basically probably just a nice cut there, and then around here might be too big, I don't know, might not. She's bigger, so we'll see how it works. If it is too big and I do the whole thing, I can easily make another one. I have enough stuff here to make a second one if it doesn't work out. And here I finished this. I taped it up and it's quite a bit larger. This is if you've seen the previous video, which you should watch, I might skip some things in this one. This is basically 1/2 of the coat, so it'll be pretty big. We'll see how that works out, but 1/2 the coat, and then this will be attached here. It'll be like a cape, so I need to make it larger. So here is the new pattern for this. All I did was go over it first here, make sure I have a nice straight line. In this case, it's just 2 pieces of paper that I taped together, so that's a good straight line. And then I added extra to each side, considering that I made this larger, about, you know, that much for the extra on each side. And then I tried to get some straight lines going, and to get these somewhat equal, I drew a straight line here, and I used this to make a gentle curve. It was a pretty nice curve on it, so I just used that as a template. And then I'm going to cut this out on the exterior line, and that'll be good. See how it turns out. I'll start going to the fabric itself for each thing. Of course, in the case of Superman, you've got the blue shirt and then the red cape. So I have the fleece ready. I have the new pattern set up. I just need to make 2 of these, and then I can get started with that. I have the fleece. Actually, I want to use this side for the exterior, so I want to mark on the side that I don't want to use. And I also want it to flex more this way, longwise, because it doesn't pull as much that direction, so I don't want to use that. So just have it aligned like that so that the cape can pull. I'm going to just cut out 2 of those. So I finished cutting out the 2 pieces for the cape. These are the back sides. I'm going to use this side for the exterior. So what I would need to do, if I can remember the directions properly, we'll see if I screw anything up. I want the two back sides on the outside for this step. I'll put them together, and then I will sew around this edge, and then I'll reverse it and then do it again. So I have the cape section. I'm going to start sewing. Just put some needles in there to hold it together. Of course, it's going to be reversed, so you want the bad sides on the outside to start off. You just go around. The smaller section you don't sew, I believe. I would have to look at the directions again, but I don't think I do that. I'm just going to go around the outside entirely, and then I'll reverse it and do it again to get a nice edge on there. So I sewed the inside and I reversed it. Didn't do a great job, but it looks alright. Now I'll just go around again to give a nice flat edge sewn down, and I'll move on to the coat itself. So on to the coat itself. Of course, this is 1/2 revised pattern. We've made it longer, made it thicker, and longer on the end as well. You need to fold over your fleece, and you want the side you're not going to use on the top here, so when we make a mark, you don't want that to show up in your final product, or just final coat. And you want the stretch like this, so that when it wraps around the dog, it'll stretch a little bit more. It doesn't stretch quite as much from this direction. So I'm just going to mark this, cut it out, and then do it a second time. I don't know, maybe I could fold it twice somehow, but I'm not going to try to figure that out at the moment. I'm just going to do the simple process. I've got it folded once, and I'm going to cut that out to get that mirrored image. So I have the outline drawn out. I have it folded, of course, with the side I don't want on the outside right now. And then I just put some pins in just to make it a little easier so I don't mess up when I'm cutting. I'm going to use this. I actually picked this up for $1 at Harbor Freight Tools. It's not exactly used, you know, for this stuff, but it seems to work alright. I'm not complaining. And then just simply cut it out. And the way that everything's set up, the exactness of the cuts aren't too important, but it's good. So I'll do this for this one, and then I'll do a duplicate, and then we'll move on to, you know, putting it together. I just want to point out that the second piece, I already made the first one right here. The second piece, so I had the first one set up. This works a little easier, so because this line here was from the last cut, just makes it a little easier that way. And then I'll just finish cutting this up and stuff and move on. So I have the two blue pieces finished. They're all cut up, or cut out, I should say. And I have the cape here. So when we want to put all this together, we want to put the good sides on the inside. So we have the bad side here, the good side inside. This is, of course, ready as is. And we have the bottom one, good side on the top, and then the cape has to go in this general area. I didn't do too great of a job on the last one, but if I can arrange that properly this time, it might work a little better. We'll see. And then this just goes on top, like so. And I just need to be careful when I'm sewing it. And then I have to put pins, of course, to get everything aligned. But in this case, with my modified design, I need to be careful of not sewing the cape itself to the coat down here. So I just need to fold it over or something, which I think will work. Just on the bottom, because we want the top to be sewn down. So I'm just going to pin this up and then get started. The bottom here, you leave an opening so you can reverse it, and then you just sew around the entire deal on the top here, all of these. And then once you reverse it, you're going to go over it again and then finish off this bottom. So I have it all pinned up. I'm going to go pretty slow so that I don't mess anything up here. I only use about 20 pins or so. Basically you just go around like I said, and then this area will be harder because it's a lot thicker. We'll see how that goes. So now I did it the first time, I reversed it, and now I'm going over all of the entire thing so that it's nice and flat and all that. And then I will do the Velcro after that and see how it all turned out. I think I'm probably going to attempt one other thing too, and you'll see. I'm going to wing it, but we'll get to that later. I have the coat all sewed up. Now I'm going to try to get some Velcro on here. Not totally sure how I should do this, but I don't want the sharp Velcro side to be too long. Otherwise, if the size is wrong, then it might scratch. So I'm going to have this shorter, and then these ones longer, so that it'll work out, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. So I did a quick test fit, and it seems to work pretty well. I just need to go back here and put more Velcro. It's going to be fine, I think. It's just that this side flops around a little bit if there's not enough Velcro. The edges there, once it wraps around like this, it's going to be a little extra. So once I put that extra Velcro right here, such it'll work nicely. I don't have any yellow fleece, but I was thinking of putting a little emblem maybe. So I did manage to get some yellow material. I kind of confiscated it, but it's fine. And then I have this little piece of red here. I'm going to attempt to make a G, a little tiny G on there, and then I'll put the yellow behind it. So I managed to get that cut out pretty nice. It's just the red fleece. I'm going to use the normal side. And then I have a piece of yellow, and I'm going to attempt to use the machine to sew those together with the red. I'll put that on the coat itself and see how that works. So I finished with the G over here. I still need to do the extra Velcro, but I switched colors on my machine to red, so I'm going to do the boots next, or attempt the boots. I wasn't planning on doing these, but I'll give it a shot. See if I can make something interesting. So I have this fleece folded over twice. I think I'll use 2 feet per section. So I'm going to have 2 sections. Cut these out, and then I'm going to go from there and see what I can do. So I did manage to get 4 decent sized pieces out of that. I didn't quite have it how I expected. When I had it vertical like that, it was too thin, but if you just use them like this, it'll work. I think it'll work. It'll be a little shorter, but it's just small dog, so I'm thinking I'll first start like this, with the outside, and then I'll sew the bottom, and then just half of this, and then right here I'll try to sew quite a bit to make it stronger. And then once I reverse it, I'll put some Velcro on the top so that it'll have some adjustment abilities. And I think that'll work. We'll see. So here's the quick boot process. I just kind of winged it, and that's how it turned out. So the first one, you fold it over. This side is the side you don't want, and you just sew around here. And then right here I did an X pattern to make it stronger. And then you reverse it and you get this. And then at this point I just put some Velcro here, the harsher version on this side, a little piece. And then I put more here. And that's it. And then I also sewed around the edge to give it a more boot-like appearance. So here's the whole final coat, costume, whatever you want to call it. It took quite a while. I had my sewing machine on slow for a lot of the actual jacket, but then I tried to bust these out pretty quick, and that helped a bit. So we've got the cape, we've got the G for Gracie, and we have the 4 boots. We'll see how she tolerates those. Tried one on, she took it off, and then she ran around with it in her mouth, obviously. And then that's the whole deal there. I'm gonna attempt to get some pictures. We'll see how that goes. It was pretty fun, but very time consuming. So that's it. Cosplay Bonsai.